A wide-body jet climbs through clear sky. Underneath, a gray warship walks a loaded tanker down the water. This month's warning for this exact strait names one danger: a warship's own system mistaking a passenger plane. In 1987, America made a promise: civilian traffic would get through this strait. It kept that promise by repainting foreign tankers as American ships. That put the gray hulls and the tankers they guarded into one lane for 14 months. Months before the escorts began, 37 sailors died never seeing the missile, and that changed how certain the next captain had to be. 11 months in, one of those warships shot down a scheduled airliner. Everyone on board died. Its own system reported that aircraft climbing on its published airway, broadcasting a civilian code right up to the moment of the launch. Almost everyone in the room that day remembered it. Diving. Both of those are in the record. Only one of them can be true. 290 people, 66 of them children, 7 minutes after takeoff. And this is not a story about one bad crew. The promise that put that warship in that water is being written again in the same water this month. That promise wasn't born in Washington. It was born 6 years earlier, in a war that had nothing to do with America yet. Iraq began attacking commercial shipping here to strangle Iran's only export route. The strategy was never secret: provoke Iran into closing the strait itself, and the great powers would have to choose a side. 2 flags, 2 capitals, both reading the same cable traffic out of one small country. Iran, with no Iraqi shipping of its own to hit its financiers' tankers instead, and one of the financiers asked Washington for protection, while quietly opening the same conversation with the Soviets. 2 letters sealed the same afternoon, addressed to 2 different superpowers. 500 miles, 14 months, 30-plus warships at peak. The guarantee is no longer a policy on a page. It is a fact about the water, and everyone in it now has to account for everyone else in it. A third hull now shares the same lane, unremarked by any of the 3 crews. The guarantee's first bill came due within 2 months, and not from the direction anyone in this story has been watching. In May of 1987, 2 missiles hit an American frigate in this water. Her radar, her early warning, her close-in defenses, all of it missed them. Her captain learned of the lock after the first missile was already in the air. They were fired by Iraq, the side Washington was quietly tilting toward. No one on her deck yet knows which side actually fired. The frigate did not sink. She will be repaired. 37 of her crew will not be coming home to hear about it. 37 dead, 21 wounded. Each flag folded the same way, by men who had done this before and would do it again. The president went on television and blamed Iran anyway. The captain who was attacked was relieved of his command. After that, the rule changed. The public report itself says only, "The remainder is deleted." The public will not see this page for years. The Navy already has. What the record does let us say is what the rule did. A captain no longer had to wait to be fired on first. From that morning on, firing too late had a documented cost. No ceremony, just a stamp and a name moving from one file to another. Firing too early, so far, had none. There is no second stamp because there is no second kind of mistake this rule was written to punish. So America kept its word. The water almost ended the promise in its first week. Nobody had reason to expect a mine here yet. That is what a first week is for. 2 days into the escort, the tanker it was protecting, 400,000 tons of her, struck a mine. Nobody had checked the route. The United States had no minesweepers anywhere in this water. Minesweepers exist. They are simply 8,000 miles from the ships that needed them. The warships fell in behind the damaged tanker, using her hull to find the rest of the mines. 3 minesweepers were towed 8,000 miles to fix it, after the ship was already hit. 9 months of running this corridor, and the water still has not finished testing it. The mines that found that tanker weren't the last thing the guarantee would have to answer for. Whatever moved beneath that ripple has already gone quiet again. A mine layer was caught mid-act with 9 mines and a logbook recovered aboard. A missile hit the next reflagged tanker. 4 U.S. destroyers answered by shelling an oil platform. A mine-laying incident has become, within one afternoon, an act answered with naval gunfire. Each violation of the guarantee now obliges a military reply, within days and in public every single time. A mine broke another frigate's keel, flooded her engine room, threw both gas turbines off their mounts. Damage that is almost always fatal to a ship. Her crew fought fire and flooding for 5 hours, and did not lose a single man. The mines pulled from the wreck carried serial numbers, in the same sequence as the ones seized months earlier. 4 days later, the United States decided what would happen to whoever had laid them. In a single morning, 1 gunboat was sunk, 1 frigate burned to her magazines, 1 more crippled. 56 sailors from the other side were killed, in the largest operation of its kind in over 40 years. The only Americans lost that day died in a helicopter crash that showed no sign of battle damage at all, a fact the record has never explained. The record simply stops here. It does not offer a second theory to replace the first. And the same promise, in the same water, is being written again, right now, this month. Then, back into the room, because that's where the rest of this story happens. Whatever this ship turns out to be, the water does not care what she was built for. Every commander left in that water is now waiting for the answer back. A guided missile cruiser enters this story now, not because of anything that happened in the last 4 days, but because of the promise itself. She's here in part to escort a crippled frigate out through this strait, neither crew yet aware how the next 11 days will read in a report. Her combat system was built to fight the Soviets in open ocean. This is the most ambiguous water on Earth. Her own fleet already had a name for her before any of this: Robo-Cruiser. Commander David Carlson, watching from another ship, would later write in the Navy's own journal that this crew hankered for the opportunity to show their stuff. The investigating officer, Fogarty, whose report carries Carlson's words, also notes that the airliner shared this water with an active war, flying low and close to it. And then, on an ordinary morning, the guarantee finally had to decide what kind of ship it actually was. An ordinary Sunday morning in a water that has already produced 4 extraordinary ones. 13 gunboats reported. The ship's own helicopter takes fire at 100 meters, having closed inside the 4-mile limit its own rules of engagement set. The first rule broken that morning is the cruisers. In the pursuit, the ship crosses into that country's own territorial waters. Her navigator announces it aloud, on the ship's own recorded tape. You are not watching a quiet room. The cruiser has been fighting gunboats for the better part of an hour, heeling hard through a turn, papers sliding across the deck plates, when an ordinary airliner lifts off 27 minutes late from a runway that also flies fighters. 2 machines, 1 runway, and only one of them is a threat to anybody. An operator leaves the reed gate near that runway for the better part of 90 seconds and picks up a stray military code from an aircraft still sitting on the ground. The airliner's own schedule and the ship's own clock don't line up either. Nobody designed this discrepancy. It simply accumulated, the way small errors always do under pressure. Nobody resets the gate. Nobody reconciles the two. One call travels through the room unverified. A different call, the correct one, is made once, out loud. The captain raises a hand in acknowledgement and says nothing. By the International Aviation Body's count, the ship challenges the aircraft 11 times. 7 of those 11 go out on a military channel. The airliner was never equipped to receive. 2 missiles, 290 people, 7 minutes after takeoff. Somewhere behind a podium, a first draft of the day's public account is already being typed. So what does an institution say, in public, in the hours right after this? None of them yet know how much of what they are about to hear will be wrong. The Pentagon's first public account, a descending aircraft, a military code, well over the airliner's actual speed. Fogarty's finding, once his investigation read the tape, climbing, civilian code only, a normal commercial profile the entire time. The Pentagon first said an attacking fighter had been shot down, and retracted it within hours. By evening, the story has already moved to the next day's papers, uncorrected. $131,800,000 paid. No admission of liability. Legal settlements are written to close a case, not to answer the question the case was actually about. Asked directly, days later, whether his regret was an apology, the president said, yes. You've probably heard the line everyone quotes about this story, that an American leader said he'd never apologize, didn't care what the facts were. He said it, 5 weeks later, on a campaign stage, about something else entirely. This stage has nothing left to say about a strait most of tonight's crowd could not find on a map. 14 days after the shootdown, the other side accepted a ceasefire it had refused for a year. The two events sit next to each other in time. 2 dates, 1 government, and only a mechanism connecting them, never a stated reason. Nothing in the record says one caused the other. 9 months after the shootdown, a bomb destroyed the captain's wife's van near the ship's home port. 9 months is long enough to feel finished, not long enough for an answer. She walked away unhurt. Nobody was ever charged. Nobody ever established who did it or why. Rear Admiral Fogarty's own investigation writes it in these words. Had the ship's captain used the information his own combat system gave him as his sole source of information, he might not have fired. It took 4 years and a television interview before anyone in that government would say out loud where the ship had actually been standing. The captain received a medal for 2 years of service. The citation does not mention the flight. An institution can be entirely accurate about 2 years of service and still leave out the 1 hour that mattered. The same corridor, the same flag, and a public that has mostly stopped watching. 3 months ago, American warships began escorting merchant traffic through this same strait again, and stopped after 2 days. The lanes are being redrawn this month. The paperwork changes. The mechanism underneath it, so far, has not. And the standing warning over this airspace, right now, still names the same danger this film just spent 7 minutes inside of. See you next time.